Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon when you're watching this webinar. To my good friends in Burbank, Miller, and Jefferson, just wanted to say hi. This is Dave Nagel. Really excited to connect with everyone again very soon. But this quick webinar is what I had promised everyone. It's amazing. It's been 2 weeks since we were together, and it feels like I was just there yesterday. I've been telling so many folks about what a great couple of days I had. What a pleasure it was to work with everyone. This is just a quick overview on how to utilize some of the resources that are in the Google folder. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump right in. The first document that I'm going to highlight is the VLAT Impact Cycle Checklist. You've probably seen this as an attachment that I had sent to Sandra and Judy, so they might have sent it to everyone. But it just kind of, once again, thanks everyone for a great couple of days. It just highlights with some dates and specificity for the specific steps in the impact cycle, and when you should maybe think about when we kind of need to have those done. I've kind of created, which I think is a very, very manageable schedule compared to what a lot of districts I work in, where our days in between our engagements are so much closer, for what I'll call a soft deadline and a hard deadline, when you really shouldn't be starting it before that date, but then really it needs to be completed by this date so we can have a successful day two. The next thing I just want to highlight, you see there's a folder for both Jefferson and Miller. So I'm just going to go into the Jefferson Impact Cycle folder. And what I'm going to ask everyone to do whenever they're kind of ready to get started, and I know most of you are working in pairs or groups of three, I really encourage not much more than that. Even if you're in a larger group that you're doing the same focus, you might just have one group of three and another group of three, just so that way there's only so many folks that are diving into the same document. But let's just say, and you just see I've kind of just clicked on one. I'm going to go up here and kind of highlight that area where it says copy a blank impact cycle. And so imagine that this was going to be Dave and Judy and Sandra working on this. And certainly I'm going to encourage all of us to use our last names. It's going to be easier to find. And then we're going to say this is going to be third grade, and we're going to focus on visible learner traits, which is where I think most of us are going to kind of focus on. So now I've named my impact cycle, and I'm just going to go back to the Jefferson folder for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh. And what you'll see, because you see the word copy on all of them, because I just made a bunch of copies of the same one, you scroll down here, and now we can find the same one I was just mentioning. What you're going to need to fill out is this document, similar to the ones you've seen in the manual. And these sections right here are what we did when we were together that first day. I believe it was on page 31 in the manual, where you kind of listed, what do I want to find out? What tools am I going to use? And then here you're going to list what are some of the activities that you're going to work on. But down here, as you scroll down just a little bit, it's the exact same template that you see with the ones in the manual and some of the examples that I've created. And I've also added, just to kind of help guide everyone, those ballpark deadlines. And what I love about using the document is it's going to allow me to go in and give feedback to the teams, ask questions. You'll be able to highlight and tag me on any of these, and if you have questions. But again, this is just where you're going to fill in the exact same kind of format that you see in the manuals. And the example impact cycles, I've just added the specific dates in red that are specific to Burbank. So again, whether you are a Miller teacher or a Jefferson teacher, you'll find your folder. Go on and make yourself a document, and that's when you will work on with your team. Wanted to then highlight that you see some K-5, some middle school, and even some high school examples. And the reason why I added those in there, the high school ones, is even though they might not be our grade levels that we're working on, certainly we can get some great ideas. But I'm just going to kind of highlight, these are some authentic ones. Certainly I think there's some very good ones in the manuals. But these are ones that of districts similar to Burbank, with teachers who came in just like we did, with some knowledge of visible learning to a certain level, and went through the couple of days. And I just think these are just some really good examples for you to look at. The format's a little bit, I've cleaned up ours, the ones we're using. I've tried to make it more simplistic, but I'm just highlighting this third grade one. But you can see how they filled out throughout the period of time all the different steps that we're going to go through, what they did, what their implementation looked like, what their impact cycle was, and everything else. So there's plenty of examples in there. I want to highlight just one other example. I'm going to go into this kindergarten one, because I know we talked a little bit about the need to kind of see a perspective, for example, kindergarten or eighth grade. But this was a kindergarten one. What does it look like to be a good learner in kindergarten? And they used the dojo system. They kind of had a karate kind of a theme going on in their classroom. But you can see the dates of what they did. You can see what their baseline evidence statements, and then even a little bit further down, some of the resources and impact statements that they used, but what they would focus on. So again, you can dive into these. I'm not going to take a lot of time on this particular webinar, but you can see where the different impact cycles are for the different groups. The other two folders, real quick, that I just wanted to highlight, one are the slide examples, and I will continue to put any other resources in there. I put as many of the slides that I could into the folders so you can kind of download those. But then also I made a folder for videos. And so there's some of the funny videos that folks were interested in, the ones we kind of looked at throughout the days during the breaks, but then also the visible learning ones, whether it was students picking their own seats, teachers talking about success criteria, and I'm going to continue to add several more in here, the one on Austin's butterfly as well. So again, not a very long overview. I just wanted to kind of highlight what some of the example resources were within the folder and kind of get everybody started. So the main thing, again, for us to kind of get moving, we're going to have a live webinar on September 12th, that between now and then, you would just go with your team into your folder. I just grabbed a Jefferson one now. Click on any one of these, and then upper here in this kind of corner, you just kind of highlight, and you just list your names, last name, so we can find you, and then your grade level, whatever grade level you are, and your focus, which for most of the time, I think it was a visible or good learner characteristics. Just make one more there. And then once you do that, it's kind of saved under that kind of format, and then back in the folder, it'll just alphabetize those. So this was just the one thing that we didn't get to, and it's really not that necessary. We didn't really bring a lot of technology, but to be honest, the only thing that I would have done as a group would have been to put your names in one and put those few couple of pieces that we actually recorded in our manuals into this document. I like to have folks, at least it's my thought, and I've gotten good feedback, to work in a document as opposed to someplace hard copy that they got to transfer. So really, it's an extra 10 minutes we would have invested on those 2 days, but it's really not that big of a deal. But now you kind of have an idea of how to do that. So as always, if you have any questions, most of you have my email. I'm just going to go ahead and just add it in now. Actually, we'll just add it to, let me see here, because I didn't really have a slide deck ready to go, but I'm going to kind of pause the recording for just a second, and I'm going to get a slide up just so that way you've got my email as well. And sorry, I'm just pulling it up. I should have had it ready. Apologize for that. And here we go. And there we are. So just make that a little bit bigger for everyone. Again, so if you have any thoughts or any questions at all, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email at dave.nagel@corwinlearning.net. And there's my Twitter handle, my website address. And so again, really looking forward to seeing everybody again here in several months, but we'll talk a few times, I'm sure, on webinars. And just please do not hesitate if you have a thought or a question. And again, as you're filling out your impact cycle throughout the semester, please know that I'm going to dive in and offer feedback and thoughts, and do not ever hesitate to reach back with any questions. So I wish everybody a great start to the school year, and I look forward to talking to everyone very soon. Have a great rest of your day.